Hi everyone, Happy New Year! I hope you had a wonderful time this holiday season with your families and your friends, that you were able to relax a little bit. I enjoyed taking the week off between Christmas and New Year's, and I just had a little bit of fun spending time with my family. And we got in some skating and some time outside since the weather is finally warm enough to go out there, and just enjoyed some good old family time too. So I'm sorry we didn't do a video last week, but I hope you guys were all doing the same thing and just relaxing. So welcome back. This is our first Show Me How It's Done video of the new year. And of course, I have to show you some of the products that are coming out starting January 5th. So I still am not able to unfortunately open these two catalogs on screen, but if you check in with me on January 5th, I'm going to have a specialty video on my Facebook page, Lauren Scraplot, and I will be walking you through a couple exciting features of our promotions as well as the catalog. And I will have some swap cards that I have participated in a little trading of ideas with fellow demonstrators to show you. So I just want to show these catalogs as a reminder to yourselves and to me that if you do not have a copy yet, please come grab one from my porch if you're here in Edmonton, or if you're in Canada and you don't have a demonstrator, I would be happy to mail you a set if you just reach out and let me know you need one. So what we're going to play with today is the Dainty Delight Bundle, and this is going to be found in the mini catalog that will be available from January to April. There's a gorgeous set of stamps. I love the different fonts in your sentiments, and then a really jam-packed set of dies. We're also using two of the other pieces on our projects today, but lots of fun little florals. You can make different sort of flowers, and you can have a nice branch for them. So it's a lot of potential all in one. And I have probably only hit the tip of the iceberg in this set, but I had to play with it because the paper for this set coordinates beautifully, but it's only in the Celebration promotion. So Celebration, for anyone who isn't sure, in Canada, for every $60 you spend, you will get to pick something from our little brochure for January and February for free. So there's papers in there, there's some stamps in there, and this is one of those sets. So this set of paper you can see is not full. I have been using it like crazy. So I tried to kind of lay out what I had left of it for you to see. And as you can see, this blue strip, I literally have just a strip left for you. And there is, of course, that would be the sixth piece in this set. Okay, so there's two of every sheet. They are beautifully patterned both on the front and the back. And so typically in our catalog, this would be a $16.50 value that you can get for free if you purchase anything of $60 or more. Nice idea would be the stamp set and bundle here. So for the Dainty Flowers paper, keep in mind it's only available for January and February while supplies last. So our celebration this year, just as a reminder, is only January and February. Previously, it's gone into March as well, and there is only one, so there will not be another one in the summer either. So keep that in mind. So what I want to show you is, I have actually two cards to show you today. Oh, that's very, very bright. Okay, here we go. That's better. Two cards to show you today. If you follow me on Instagram, I actually did this card as a fun little reel because I was playing around with those over the Christmas holidays, but I thought I would also show it to you from start to finish, just so you can hopefully get the measurements and see what I'm doing with it. And then I have one other card to show you as well. So for this one, it's very simple. Let me see if I can offset our, nope, that makes things life worse. Nope, that's better. Okay. So for this card, you will start out with a piece of very vanilla cardstock. We're going to cut this at 4 1/4 by 11 and put a scored mark at 5 1/2, so that when we fold this over, we'll have a nice crisp card base, like so. Now, on top of this card base, we're going to put this layer of rich razzleberry. So that is going to measure 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm actually going to pop this piece up on dimensionals before adding it to my card base. That just gives my card a little bit of life and kind of takes the focus off of the blending of colors here. Okay, so just a few dimensionals on the back. This can go straight onto the inside. Now the fun part. Okay, so I would suggest just putting this base aside for the moment. You'll probably want your workspace clear so that you can actually work on this next piece. So this is another piece of ivory. It's going to complement the one in the back, and it is cut at 3 3/4 by 5 inches. Now what we're going to start with is the largest of the flower stamps. You can see this one is just massive. Our Night of Navy ink and a sentiment of your choice. Okay, I chose the Celebrate You because I need to stock up on some of my birthday cards because I'm having so much fun. I don't know if you guys got that new birthday kit. Let me show you it. This one is Stampin' Up's kits that they released in the fall, but it's a birthday card organizer kit. And I sat down over the Christmas break and I started putting it together. There's a few stickers in there, and you can see I started putting birthdays in. I haven't quite finished, but there's my brother. And then what you can do is you can pop birthday cards into these slots and mail them out at the beginning of those months. Okay, so it's really, really handy. So I highly suggest grabbing it. You also get a set of, I think, 10 cards that you can start off with. But of course you can use anything you want. But I needed some birthday cards. So here we go. I've got my Night of Navy ink. I'm going to tap that onto my large stamp. I like to just leave them on the desk for these big ones because they're kind of hard to maneuver sometimes. And I put this over onto the left-hand side of my project. Now I'm going to quickly clean this one just because I'm going to need it for card number 2 today, and it's easiest if I clean it right away. And it has a chance to dry. Won't have to worry about it. Okay, now for my sentiment. I wanted Celebrate You, and I'm just going to tuck that into this little space right here. Okay, so now what you get to do is you get to have a little bit of fun coloring. So I figured instead of making you watch me color everything, I have pre-stamped one and I've started to color. So I left a couple things that I want to finish here. So my flowers that I'm coloring are in the light, rich razzleberry. You can see I started out with the dark on this one accidentally, and I don't mind it, but they are very different. So the light rich razzleberry is what I really prefer. And I'm going to use this on my large flowers. So however you want to do that is totally fine. You can always bring in your dark and mix it up a bit, but I'm trying to make this one kind of quick and easy. My blue flowers are using the light misty, oh, I accidentally have Misty Moonlight on hand. I would suggest light Night of Navy because we no longer have Misty Moonlight, but oh well, I picked it up. We will finish with it. It's hiding on my blends shelf. Oh well, it's pretty. So there we go. You own the retired Misty Moonlight, go ahead and use it, or the light Night of Navy will work wonderfully as well. For my greens, I chose 2 different greens. So I have 2 different shades. So I have light and dark for my Old Olive. So the light Old Olive I used for all these larger leaves, the ones that you're really going to see kind of very prominently. And I just colored those in. And then the dark Old Olive, I picked for kind of these branch ones that you wanted kind of shaded in, but very subtly. Okay, so that's all you need. And I realize this will take you a little longer, but I didn't want to make you watch 20 minutes of me coloring. So what I'm going to do now, you can see this would be a really pretty card front. However, we have a really nice new embossing folder that gives quite a bit of character when you use it in combination with this card. So that is the Cane Weave 3D folder. We're going to just set this inside. And you'll remember this is a 3D folder, so you will need your specialty plate. Mine is blue because it's that original one. If you purchase it now, it'll be gray. And then, leave my machine. That was the fun part, getting things up here. Okay, here we go. Here's my machine. All you need is the platform. So that's number one. I'm gonna just stick that onto our desk here. Stick your embossing folder on top and your specialty plate, and now roll them through. I need a cameraman who follows me, and then I could just move all across my desk space. All right, so hopefully you can see there's a really nice difference between kind of that plain white paper or vanilla paper that we were using originally and just the character that this brings. So I've used any sort of flat adhesive on the back of this to attach it. I love my tape. Of course, you can use seal or you can use glue, whatever works for you. Those around all the edges. You can see I went over a little bit here, and that's fine. You can just tear it off. It's easy to do. Sometimes with the embossing, a little trickier to get that initial edge. There we go. And this can go just straight onto your card base. Now for decorations, I just figured any sort of plain old gem, like a rhinestone or some of our pearls are perfect. I don't know where, there we go. I just grabbed my polished dots. You can use either the petal pink or the clear ones. So here I've done petal pink, and maybe on this one I'll do clear, and you guys can decide which ones you like. I just did kind of a little formation there. And there you go. Easy peasy. You can kind of maybe stamp like 5 of these at once and then work on them all at the same time so that you're not doing this one at a time. But it's a really nice card, easy to pop in the mail for that special someone's birthday. And who knows, maybe you're gonna make it a resolution like I am to get organized a little bit better this year for birthday cards. So there's card number 1. I promised I have 2 cards for you. So let me show you card number 2. So this one I stepped up just a little bit by adding some embossing, but I was really focusing on just playing with different patterns of paper for this one as well. So if you'd like to follow along, give you all the measurements for your pieces. Here we go. So for our base, we're once again using vanilla, and this one is going to measure 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. So again, it is a standard card, but it's opening towards the side instead of the top, like our original card. Now I like to work on the inside of this card. I didn't decorate the inside of the other one, but this one we're going to. So I've cut out a piece of rich razzleberry that is 4 by 5 1/4, and a piece of vanilla that is 3 3/4 by 5. These guys I'm just going to layer up and put onto the inside of my card, like so. So grab any tape or any seal, that together. I'm impressed. So my kids aren't back to school until next week, but so far we haven't interrupted. That's great. I shouldn't have said that, knock on wood. Now now they're going to come in. But they're getting really good at like, okay, I have to film, door is closed. When I'm done, you can come in. Then they'll come and watch and see what I'm working on. I think they need the break. I don't know. They got sent home with like things they can do over Christmas, and I think right now we just need to play with toys and relax a little bit too. I was busy traveling back and forth to Calgary, so. There we go. Okay, inside of our card, done. Now for the outside of your card. This is where you get to have so much fun layering. We're going to do the same thing that we did with our previous card and give ourselves a nice rich raspberry base to work off of. This one is also 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to pop it up on dimensionals, as I love dimensionals. They're great. So I added a couple more this time because I am putting quite a bit on top of this. I've got a bunch of different paper flowers and also more designer paper. So I want it to be well supported. Okay, so now for your designer paper, you can use whatever patterns you like. It doesn't have to be the same one I've chosen. So this is a good scrap card where you've maybe used a bunch of different papers and full sheets for other cards, and now you're kind of left with random strips, random pieces, random chunks. This is a good piece together card for you to use those for. So whatever pattern you decide for this top section, you're going to cut it at 3 7/8 by 3 inches. Okay, and that will be the piece that you attach to the top of the card here. So I'm using a flat adhesive now. Glue works really well because you can adjust from here if you need to, but whatever works for you. So this guy I'm going to attach to the top section of my project, giving just a tiny bit of a border between the two sides and the top. Whatever's left on the bottom is just fine, but we want these sides and top to be pretty even and for us to see a little bit of that rich raspberry kind of poking through. The next one that you're going to work on is the bottom piece of designer paper. So whatever scrap you have for this, you're going to cut 3 7/8 by 1 3/4. And again, we will attach that to the card. If you're comfortable kind of lining it to the bottom, you're more than welcome to. Sometimes I find it easiest to just flip my full project over and kind of have my top and side borders to work with again. Keep in mind, if you've got a directional flower like this, for instance, you'll want to make sure it's facing upwards. But sometimes I like to just kind of turn the project over, and then I'm a bit more consistent with where I lay my pieces out. So we have a fun little gap here, and this is where any sort of little strip that you have left over is going to work. So this one is 3 7/8 by 3/4. And we're going to attach this just right in this middle section. However, I find it a lot easier to stamp my sentiments before I attach, so I would maybe suggest that you do the same. So I've used the Celebrate You once again and the Night of Navy ink, and I'm just going to put my sentiments kind of close to the right-hand side. That's a little lower than I want, but oh well, it's fine. Okay, turn this one over now and attach some adhesives. So this one I want to make sure it's snug because it's kind of connecting two different pieces for me. So I'll just do 2 long strips of adhesive. And this can go right in the middle. There. Okay, so that's going to be a little wet, so just tap it down. And I do have a little overhang here, so I can always come in later and just use some snips to trim that off. But let me keep you guys going. So I'm going to move this out of my way because I need to work on a few of these flowers here. So what I've done for the first flower is I'm just cutting out a rich razzleberry base. I've used the solid die and chopped on rich razzleberry, and that's going to be this piece in behind my vellum flower. My other flower is going to be stamped and embossed with white embossing powder onto a piece of Night of Navy, and then I will be cutting it out at the same time as my vellum flower with this die. Okay, so the one that I wanted to show you is how to stamp and emboss on vellum, because sometimes that can be tricky. So let's just grab our little piece of vellum here, and I have that stamp that I've nicely cleaned. So to do this, the key is to remember to use your embossing buddy. And this is that little powder kind of baggie that really soaks up any oils that your fingers might leave, or some dust or anything on this surface. So you just kind of brush it over top. You'll barely be able to see it, and you will see it a lot when you first get it. It's like this puff of white and you think you've done something wrong, but you're fine. So use your embossing buddy to get that work surface nice and ready for you. Then we've got our sticky Versamark ink, tapping that all over the stamp set. And then I'm going to use white embossing powder after I've stamped this. Okay, so hopefully this fits on here. Haha, I didn't check that. Well, let's see here. That should work. Didn't quite check that. Wish me luck, guys. Okay, here we go. White embossing powder. Got my nice little tray. I'm just going to sprinkle that over top. And just remember, you can always tap, tap, tap on the front or the back. Get a little off, but that embossing powder or buddy really helps me not get any random pieces on the outside of this. Okay, so when you're heating vellum, you do want to hold your heat tool further away than you would with a cardstock, because the vellum itself can actually kind of start to melt and bend. So it will take a little bit longer. You won't be able to hear me while I'm working on this, but the tips are to hold it further away. And if you're still worried, you can actually heat from the bottom, and that will help help disperse the heat a bit more too. So maybe we'll try that. You still can't see it. There we go. Camera didn't like all that focusing. Okay, so it went from kind of a powdery look to something glossy. That's what you're looking for. If it still looks like powder in any points, then you're going to have to keep melting that powder with your embossing tool. So you should be ready now to die cut these out. I've had some people ask before, because I use these little pieces of tape. This is a Post-it label cover-up tape that I just ordered from Amazon. Fortunately, Stampin' Up does not have it, but Amazon does. So it's just kind of a roll of tape that you can, it's like a Post-it that you can use to kind of keep these dies secured a little bit. And special thanks to a fellow demonstrator, Allison Okumitsu. She was the one who I originally heard about this tape from. Okay, we've got our machines. This is fun. Okay, let's do this. So we've got our vellum piece and got our cardstock piece. And if you had to, you can even add the rich razzleberry piece and dye. Oh, actually you can't, because that was why I did it. I need this dye for that rich razzleberry. That's why I did it ahead of time. All right, here's our platforms. We don't sell the purple ones. Don't fall in love with them. Found them a long time ago in the States, and I keep them for my videos to just make sure you guys know the difference between a top and bottom plate, but it helps me keep things straight. There we go. Okie dokie. Messy, messy. Getting that out of my way. Okay. Keep in mind the first time you use this tape, it's very sticky, so don't wreck your vellum. Okay, there's one. And there's two. And of course, we have number 3. So to start attaching these together, we're first going to take our vellum flower and get it attached to the base. Now I don't want them lined up right on top of each other. I actually want them kind of offset just a tiny bit so that you kind of have that rich razzleberry poking through the back. Now I know it's really hard to attach vellum to anything, so what I'd suggest is just sacrifice 1 or 2 spots where you're okay just having adhesive, and then don't worry about attaching the top of it, because that will kind of be where your focus is instead. Okay, so I've put a couple pieces of tape. You can use glue dots as well, and I've offset this slightly from my base and just gently pressed that bottom part together. So you can see there is a little bit of the tape showing through, but it's how it is, it's fine. Now this guy we're going to put dimensionals on the back of and put this onto our card. All right, so I've put this kind of more towards the left-hand side of my project, much as it will fit. And then this little guy here, you can decide whether you'd like to add the dimensionals straight onto the base, or if you want it popped up a little bit more, you can add dimensionals to these 2 flowers and it will sit on top. Or you can add just tape and it'll kind of blend itself in. So whatever your choice is, I think I'm going to try the dimensionals just on those 2 spots. See what that looks like. Probably even put one here too. There we go. All right, so there's my little base. And then again, if you want to add some gems, I'm gonna come back with my little polished dots. And of course you can use any sort of other gems that you have on hand to just add a little bit detail to the project. So it doesn't have to be much, it's very subtle. Go, there's card number 2. So hopefully you had fun today learning how to use one of our new suites, and just keep in mind if I missed giving you any directions, let me know. If you enjoyed today's video, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. That would help me out a lot. And I look forward to seeing you guys for our next Show Me How It's Done video on Tuesday, but join me on Thursday, which is the 5th, for a little sneak peek of some of the stuff in the catalog and some announcements. I will also have information about paper shares for those of you in Canada. See you guys later. Bye!